The Damascus regime of President Bashar al-Assad has vowed to use all means necessary to recapture every inch of the Golan Heights, which Syrian Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallim underscored remains occupied Syrian territory. During a joint press conference with visiting Venezuelan Foreign Minister Jorge Areza, the Syrian top diplomat reiterated that his country's right to the Golan Heights is unshakable, and as such, Syria will liberate the occupied Golan by all means, and all options are on the table.
حقنا في الجولان العربي السوري لا يسقط بالتقادم، حق ثابت، فالأرض مقدسة وسيتم تحرير كل شبر من الأراضي السورية المحتلة.
Al-Muallim further stressed that Israel must understand Syria's determination. He said it has the resolve and aspirations necessary, which can be clearly observed since the country plunged into war in 2011. The war, according to the Damascus foreign minister, aimed to protect Syria's sovereignty and independence and to liberate every inch of its territory, including the Golan Heights.
طالما قلنا بكل الوسائل، هذا يعني أنه ضمناً هذا الخيار موجود. لم نقل باستثناء الخيار العسكري. فهمك كفاية.
When asked about the U.S. administration's decision to recognize Israel's annexation of the territory, Al-Muallim claimed that it will only increase U.S. isolation, even from its closest allies.
كل محاولات ترامب بإعطاء إسرائيل السيادة على الجولان لها أثر وحيد تم البرهان عليه خلال مناقشات مجلس الأمن وفي منظمة التعاون الإسلامي وفي الجامعة العربية أنه زاد من عزلة الولايات المتحدة حتى عن أقرب حلفائها.
The Syrian foreign minister also accused the United States of lying about its declared military disengagement from the war-torn country and referred to the ongoing U.S. presence in Syria as an illegal and illegitimate deployment. While the Israeli foreign ministry in Jerusalem refused to respond to the statement by the Syrian foreign minister, the U.S. State Department in Washington did not immediately respond to TV7's request for comment. Now, in other news, the remains of IDF soldier Zachary Baumel were laid to rest at the Mount Herzl Military Cemetery in Jerusalem, more than 36 years after he was classified as missing in action. Senior government and military officials, including President Reuven Rivlin and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, joined the soldier's family for the burial ceremony. In remarks Netanyahu made during the funeral, he stressed that the return of fallen IDF soldiers remains at the core of the Jewish and Israeli identity, which is rooted in mutual accountability for one another.
השבת בנינו לגבולם נוגעת בנימים העמוקים ביותר של זהותנו כיהודים וכישראלים. כל ישראל ערבים זה לזה ומיסודות קיומנו. ערך הרעות ומשורשי הברית שקושרת אותנו יחד כעם, כצבא וכמדינה. בשם ערכים אלה, בשם אהבת העם והארץ, יצא זכריה למלחמת שלום הגליל.
With just 4 days ahead of Israel's parliamentary elections, the Prime Minister noted that despite arguments and disagreements among Israelis, the core values that unite the people of Israel are stronger than ever.
גם כשיש בתוכנו ויכוחים ומחלוקות, שהם חלק טבעי מן החיים במדינה חופשית ודמוקרטית, גם אז הנקודה הפנימית שמאחדת אותנו בטוב וברע, הנקודה הפנימית הזאת חזקה מכל. ברוח דברי הנביא זכריה, והאמת והשלום אהבו, אני אומר לאחינו היקר זכריה באומל, ברוך השב הביתה, זכרך יהיה נצור בלב עמנו לעד.
Now to Washington, where U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo reiterated the American position vis-à-vis the Turkish acquisition of Russia's sophisticated S-400 surface-to-air missile defense system.
We are continuing to have conversations. I think the Turkish government understands the American position quite clearly. I think I heard the Vice President speak to that yesterday as well. Our position hasn't changed. There's great opportunities for the United States and Turkey to work closely together, and I had a good long conversation with the Turkish foreign minister yesterday, and I'm very confident we'll find a path forward.
Despite the repeated warnings from the United States over the dangers of Turkey's aspiration to integrate Russian-made weaponry into its NATO-established defense array, Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu reiterated after meeting with his American counterpart that the purchase of the S-400 from Moscow was a done deal that cannot be cancelled.
We have already purchased that. We have already purchased. It's a done deal.
But NATO, the Secretary General and Pompeo seem to suggest that there's still some sort of negotiation.
I don't know what Secretary General said, but U.S. has been hoping that, but from the beginning, this process has been very transparent with everybody, not only with our ally, United States, but everybody. Therefore, we have told them, I don't know how many months ago or a year ago, that it's a done deal. So we cannot cancel it.
Minister Çavuşoğlu took the opportunity to underscore Ankara's position. He stressed that regardless of Western rhetoric, Turkey's relations with Russia were not an alternative to its alliances with NATO and the United States, or its continued ambition to become a member state of the European Union.
So any country in our region actually has no other options but should balance its relations with everybody in the region. And our relations with Russia is not an alternative to NATO alliance, or not an alternative to our EU policy or our European partnership or ambitions.
Earlier, the U.S. State Department's deputy spokesman, Robert Palladino, said Pompeo had warned Çavuşoğlu about the potentially devastating consequences of Turkish military action in Syria and called for a resolution to the cases of unjustly detained U.S. citizens in Turkey. In response, Ankara's top diplomat slammed the U.S. statement, saying it failed to reflect the content of the meeting he held with his American counterpart and contained issues that were not discussed.